Okay, good morning, legends. What are we talking about this fortnight? Today, I thought we would talk about leadership in small business. What does it actually mean to be a leader in small business? Because often we think about leadership, it's about leading teams, it's about leading large companies, but it's really important in small business as well. So, what does it actually mean, though? Really, what does it actually mean? What are you leading? Well, really, it's about leading yourself. It's about being the visionary. It's being about the person who's leading the business, leading the messaging, leading the customer journey. It's about decision making. It's about energy management. It's about knowing your own stuff and your own triggers. It's about having clarity of direction. So, how are you leading yourself? How are you leading your day, your week, your month, your business? How are you leading the deliverables? How are you? And there's a bit of management on there as well. But there's an old quote that says, if you're not leading your business, then no one is. So who is leading your business? Who is the leader? So there's 4 different types of self-leadership in small business that I'd like to talk about that I think it's important for us as business owners to master. So first of all, it's about self-leadership, right? That's discipline. It's time ownership. It's setting and honoring boundaries. It's knowing yourself. Again, as I mentioned earlier, what are you? Your job as a leader is, you've got to be your own coach. So how are you coaching yourself? What are you resisting in your business? What's coming up that's giving you some resistance patterns, and how can you look at that? What's causing you stress? What's causing you overwhelm? And looking at that and being a leader of yourself and addressing those things. The second thing is about strategic leadership. So setting priorities, knowing when to say no and knowing when to say yes, that's going to move the needle, right? That's going to move the needle in my business. That's the game changer. And that's a yes. And we don't want to be going for I've put a couple of posts out over the last few days around the scramble. The scramble for business, the scramble for a job, the scramble for whatever it is. And sometimes we show up as leaders. There's a difference between showing up from the scramble or showing up from the overflow of service. So when you're looking at that strategic leadership, are my decisions based on service and who I am centered as an individual and what I want to give? Or am I working from overwhelm and stress and that feeling? It's an energetic feeling of scramble. So strategic leadership, setting boundaries, saying no and saying yes to what moves the needle, and knowing the difference between the two. So it's about really being present within yourself, leading your own mind, your own body, your own thoughts, your own decision making. There's also relational leadership, and I've spoken about it in this and more last education spot. It's about building allied partnerships. It's about creating friendships. It's about setting your own culture, whether you've got a team or not. What is the culture of you? What is the culture of Karen or John or Jim? What is that? What is that brand reputation that you have for giving and service and the law of reciprocity? How are you managing that around your relationships? Not everything in life is relationships. Our businesses are relationships. Our leadership is relationships. Our everything is about relationships. So that's a really great place to start if you're looking at yourself as a leader. And then there's also the visibility leadership. So how are you showing up in your marketing? How are you showing up boldly in your marketing? How are you showing up boldly in your networking, in your messaging? Are you shying away because you've got a lack of confidence? Is that leadership? Do you see that as leadership? Is that okay? And if it is, then that's okay. And we're not all perfect confidence bombs. But it's about looking at those things. Where am I leading the company? So as the CEO of my business, where am I showing up as a leader in my branding and my messaging? And what does the company need from me in that area? What does the company need from me as a leader? What do my customers and my subscribers need from me as a leader of my business? So there's common pitfalls, as business owners. We get stuck in the technician mode. We've spoken about that before. We're doing all the work. We're too busy serving the clients. We're not actually building the business. So the company needs from you to build it. It wants to grow. I'm sure, well, many people might have and many may not have. But sometimes recently I've thought, D32, it just wants to grow. It has a life of its own, and I'm its steward. Yeah. So I'm asking, what does the business need from me today? The business and members need for me to show up as a leader with certainty and with clarity, because that's what the business needs of me, right? So I've got to put myself out the way and put the business in front. Another thing is really about avoiding difficult conversations. And I had this conversation with someone just yesterday. Those difficult conversations can be, well, that isn't what you quoted. That didn't the job didn't meet expectations. Or it could be a confrontation with a business partner. You could be in a family business and having lots of difficult conversations. But leadership is about knowing how to handle those challenging conversations and showing up as a leader in those moments. And if you need help, then you need help. And another common pitfall is just a lack of clear vision and communication, even if you're just a team of one. So as a leader, it's about, here I am, here's the vision for the business, here's how I'm showing up. I'm here. Right? I've got a clear vision, I know where I'm going, and I'm communicating that in the marketplace. I'm showing up for a leader. So the calls to action today, or the discussion point amongst members and amongst the business community, we are where it's at. Business, we love business, we love what we do, but ask yourself, where am I showing up personally as a leader in my business? For me, for my family, for my business. Where am I? And so pinpoint it. Am I showing up as a leader in marketing or sales or service or social media or my relationships or my leadership? Am I known as a leader? So where are you showing up as a leader? And then where are you not showing up as a leader? Where is the room for improvement? And then choose one area. Choose one area this month and say, this month, I'm going to develop my leadership in this one area, whether it's delegation or systemization or speaking up or communicating your vision. This month, my leadership goal is this. And you'll find that that's just an amazing way to bring you back to who you are and to be centered in your business and to, have a grounded approach to decision making. And I would love to hear, just share amongst yourself, what are your challenges as a small business owner in the areas of leadership? Do you consider yourself a leader? Do you think it's something for people with 100 staff or 1,000 staff? Or is it something is it in your world? Are you asking yourself these questions? Where am I leading? Where am I being asked to lead? I'm really looking forward to getting involved in these conversations. Personal leadership, over to you. Thank you.